Welcome to this explainer. Let's just dive right in, shall we? Look, if you're a data architect, a data engineer, or really anyone tasked with building the foundation of your company's analytics, you already know that creating a robust data model is an absolutely monumental task. It's exhausting. But today we're exploring a massive game changer from Databricks called Vibe Data Modeling. We're going to look at how it completely reimagines how we design, govern, and deploy data models. We are literally talking about taking a grueling, months-long marathon and turning it into an agile, AI-powered sprint that takes just a few hours. So let's start with a question that I'm sure we've all asked ourselves in a moment of pure frustration. Why on earth does the silver layer data model take so long to build? We all know the silver layer is where your analytics will either make it or break. It is the bedrock that your gold aggregates, your BI tools, and your dashboards all read from. But traditionally, building it is an agonizing slog. You're starting completely from scratch. You're looking at anywhere from 6 months to 3 years of specialist work, tying up your most senior, scarce architects to interview every single team and draft everything by hand. And the worst part? Once it's finally built, it immediately starts to drift. Naming conventions go off the rails, foreign keys diverge because there's no real versioning. It's just a static schema that slowly rots over time. It is a massive, massive pain point. Now, the traditional fix for this multi-year headache has usually been to just buy a generic industry template, things like ACORD, FHIR, or ARTS. But let's be totally honest here. Those are just the average of an entire sector. They aren't built for your specific business. What ends up happening is you spend 9 to 12 months just trimming away hundreds of tables you are literally never going to use, renaming fields, and rewiring joins. Best case scenario, they are maybe 20 to 40% relevant to what your company actually does, but you're paying for the whole shebang. But contrast that with the Vibe business model. This is built from your specific business context in hours, not months, hours. And because it's built explicitly for you, it's 90 to 100% relevant. You only get the concepts your business actually needs. Which brings us to the core concept of this whole thing. What exactly is a vibe? Well, in this system, a vibe is simply a plain English description of a business. That's it. But here is the absolutely critical part. The AI agent uses your vibe as the supreme authority. Your plain words outrank any generic template, any heuristic, or any pre-programmed gate. If you type in, a customer can have multiple profiles, or if you use super specific industry jargon like MSDN for telecom or JORC for mining, the AI learns your actual business and adopts your exact vocabulary. It essentially acts like a highly seasoned analyst, taking your plain prose and enriching it into a production-grade silver layer model. It is completely tailored to your terms. Now, structurally, the AI doesn't just spit out some messy, flat list of tables. It builds a really clean, highly structured, top-down hierarchy. Step 1 is the division. This is the top-level split of your organization, like operations or business. Step 2 is the data domain. You can think of this as a bounded context that owns a specific set of concepts, like billing or customer. Step 3 drills down into the data product. This is a real, recognizable business concept inside that domain, like an invoice or an order. And finally, step 4 is the attribute, which is a single field on that product. And there is a fantastic rule the system enforces here. Every single attribute has to earn its place by answering a real business question. There is absolutely no filler allowed. So the really crucial point is how this structure maintains absolute clarity. The AI rigorously enforces a single source of truth. The rule is incredibly simple: one owner per concept, and everyone else just references it. In traditional modeling, you might have a customer table in the billing domain, another copy floating around in the sales domain, and suddenly you've got 3 competing truths, massive data drift, and conflicting joins. Vibe just flat out rejects that. It does a global deduplication pass. If it sees that an invoice and a bill are actually the exact same thing, it merges them. Duplicates are merged, not deleted. The resulting single, authoritative product is then referenced via clean join paths everywhere else. For the technical architects tuning in, the way this system handles relationships is going to give you incredible peace of mind. Relationships in this model form a clean, directed acyclic graph, or a DAG. The AI enforces a strict, unbreakable rule. If you follow any foreign key path, you will never ever return to the start. It uses Kahn's algorithm to topologically sort foreign keys, which guarantees that every parent comes before its children. If a bidirectional link or an infinite loop tries to form, say an order points to a customer, but the customer points back to the latest order, the system steps in and automatically breaks that convenience link. What does that mean for you? It means your load order is always deterministic and your model integrity is completely ironclad. And honestly, that DIG enforcement is just the tip of the iceberg. With over 250 structural rules firing off in the background, this really operates as a rigorous enterprise-grade engine. This isn't just a loose generative toy. We are talking about 60 attribute rules, 50 product rules, 35 relation rules, plus naming conventions, tagging standards, and a whole lot more as it builds your model in real time. If a mechanical error pops up during the generation process, the system actually auto-remediates it based on these 250 plus rules. To make sure it hits that incredibly high standard of quality, the model actually passes through two distinct LLM architect reviews, acting as audit gates. First up, the domain architect reviews each domain in isolation. It's asking, is the context coherent here? Do the foreign keys actually make sense? Then, the global architect takes over to audit the entire model end to end. It hunts down any cross-domain duplicates and ensures that the single source of truth we just talked about is perfectly intact. It's literally like having two senior engineers critically reviewing the work before it ever even reaches your desk. The way those architects operate is through an agentic loop. The AI doesn't just take a wild guess and hand you whatever it spits out. It follows a very strict four-step loop at every single stage. Step 1, understand the vibe and the goal. Step 2, generate a concrete attempt. Step 3, validate that attempt against those 250 plus rules we just mentioned. And here is the absolute magic in step 4. If it fails validation, it doesn't just repeat the exact same prompt over and over. It feeds the specific violation back into the system and retries differently. It actually changes its strategy. This loop, generate, validate, retry differently, is the true quality guarantee of the Vibe system. Okay, so let's talk about what actually gets delivered when this loop finishes. In a single notebook run, which, remember, takes hours instead of months, you don't just get some logical model drawn out on a whiteboard. You get a staggering array of ready-to-deploy outputs. You get physical schemas ready for Unity Catalog. You get an RDFS ontology graph, which makes your model instantly machine-readable for semantic tools and AI agents. You get DBML diagrams and full documentation. It even generates synthetic sample data where the foreign keys always resolve perfectly, so you can test it immediately. Plus, you get reusable Unity Catalog metrics attached right to the data products. It is perfectly primed for both traditional enterprise analytics and modern AI data applications right out of the gate. Let's ground all this theory in reality for a second. Here is a fascinating customer story from a global mining and metals leader. Initially, they came to Databricks asking for, you guessed it, a generic industry template. But they were convinced to try building a customized business data model using Vibe instead. Through just 5 plain English iterations, the AI built a massive, highly specific model containing 21 domains and over 500 data products. It even captured incredibly niche, rich domains like carbon, which included really complex entities like anode, bake furnace, and rotting, all in the customer's exact terminology. They abandoned the generic template search entirely. And the feedback really speaks for itself. The customer said, and I quote, "The Vibe modeling experience is very good. It is interesting, efficient, and significantly time-saving when adding new entities." They specifically highlighted how traditional approaches require so much manual analysis just to figure out the impact and relationships of a new entity. Vibe completely automated that entire streamlined workflow, providing all the essential base entities required for their highly specific mining domain without that traditional 9 to 12-month headache. Crucially, Vibe is completely native to Databricks Unity Catalog. This means the finalized model doesn't just sit in a design tool gathering virtual dust, it deploys directly. The physical schemas, delta products, and foreign keys are instantiated for you automatically. And what's really impressive here is that governance is built in from the start, not bolted on as an afterthought. It automatically applies PII tags to sensitive columns right at deployment and attaches business glossary terms to expand any abbreviations. It is a true end-to-end deployment ready to be queried the very same day you describe it. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative question. Think about the backlog your data engineering team is currently staring down. Think about all those months tied up in committee meetings, just arguing over naming conventions. If you could use plain English to build a fully governed, 100% relevant silver layer model this afternoon, what could your data team accomplish tomorrow? Vibe data modeling fundamentally changes the math on time to value for data architecture. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to look deeper into how this amazing tech can transform your own data pipelines.